Say the pledge. Dear Lord, just thank you for being with us tonight. Thank you for all the many blessings you've given the town of Stallings. Be with the council tonight. Guide us and give us the wisdom to do what's best for the town and for our citizens. We just praise you and give you all the glory for everything you've done for us. Be with our patrolmen, our police officers tonight. Protect them and bring them home safe to their families. And then please protect our women and men and women that serve in the armed forces here and overseas. Just bring them home safe. Everything we do and say, we give you praise and glory. In Jesus Christ's name I pray. Amen. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty, public comments period. We have one person signed up, Mark Leadham. Hey, Mark. State your name and your address, and I will tell you that Max, our planning director, this rezoning petition, rezoning of the project has been withdrawn.
Oh, it has?
It has been withdrawn, yeah.
Okay.
But please let us know your concerns about it.
Well, our concerns were, again, what I mentioned last time we were here with the property values, which you addressed, the rezoning compared to, didn't want to open up more channels for rezoning in the properties around us, which are still kind of open. Other concern was based on the petition before, it was just like no parking, blocking the road with the fire trucks, et cetera, et cetera. And also the septic system, there's a moratorium, and I was trying to get some answers because the moratorium on new construction, and this is new construction. So that's kind of where I was coming from.
Okay. Well,
thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else that wants this? David, we'll speak at, you'll speak at the public hearing?
Right now, yeah.
Yeah, so this is just open public comment. Speak about any
That's what I
subject.
want to do. I got 20 seconds.
Okay, well, yeah, go ahead right now. Just state your name and address.
I wanted to take the opportunity to thank everyone on the board, the mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, the staff, everyone who helped facilitate our new building project on Potter Road in Pleasant Plains. It took a lot of effort from a lot of people, and I appreciate all the hard work that was put in. And that's really all I have to say, and just to, you've taken away my thunder about the zoning, but I just have a small thing to say about that, and it applies to the future. I understand that we have a real sewer capacity issue, and that we would have better, or would have some development around the new hospital if we had sewer capacity. And I know that's a county issue, but I think that I just like to ask that we always keep sewer capacity in mind when we think about expansion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allison. All right, anybody else want to speak that didn't sign up?
Yes.
Yeah, could you just come up and give us your name and address, please?
Sure. I'm Brad Craver. My address is 1506 Emerald Lake Drive, 28104. Good evening to the board. So I'm here to make 3 points. One is I'm here to express my displeasure with the increase in the city tax rate, the town tax rate that was recently passed. Secondly, I would like to caution the board against following with the memorandum on the CRTPO. If you'll find in section L1, the following verbiage, the required local match shall be paid by the municipality or county that is using such funds. That local match shall be shared among all municipalities and counties pro rata based on population. My concern is that the CRTPO could eventually incur additional taxes upon the town, and I just caution the council against ceding that sovereignty over to the CRTPO. And thirdly, I'm here to mention my concerns with the expenses that you're reviewing today for the HVAC refurbishment for the town center. I think it's very concerning that there's not more information available for a $250,000 expenditure that's on the agenda. I hope that we can get some more information on that during your meeting. If there's no more information on that, I must say it seems like a very expensive amount to repair an HVAC system that's less than 5 years old. That's all I have. Thank you.
Well, usually we don't comment, Brad, but I'll let you know, on the CartPro situation, Brad Richardson is on the committee that drafted that. So what I'm gonna do is ask us to, since he's not here tonight, to explain to the council, because it is a detailed document. I'm gonna ask us to take it off the agenda and wait till Brad gets back for our next meeting, because I don't think we're in any time crunch, are we, Aaron?
They do request it back by September. I don't know the date off the top of my head, but the council will need to decide by the September 19th.
Yeah, oh, yeah, we got one meeting before the deadline?
I believe so.
Okay, all right, thanks. Thank you, Brad.
Thank you, Board.
Anybody else? All righty, thank y'all for coming in. So I'll turn it over to Chief Franks.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'd like to take a moment to recognize Lieutenant Heath Cranford. I'm sure many of you have seen him and know him, but on July 23rd of this year, he celebrated his 20th anniversary with the Stallings Police Department, and Heath is the last of the original 13 officers hired in 2004. Heath started his career in 2000 with the Matthews Police Department, was there for 4 years. Stallings is his hometown, and when they started the police department, he wanted to come home. Since then, he has worked as a patrol officer, a patrol sergeant, detective sergeant, currently detective lieutenant, and he is our accreditation manager. So we want to honor Heath with a certificate of recognition for his 20 years of service with the Stallings Police, and he will get a 20-year service ribbon to wear on his uniform. Heath, any comments?
I appreciate the acknowledgement, and I've enjoyed working here, so I grew up here, this is where I want to be.
Thank you very much.
See you guys.
OG?
And I want to mention one other thing. Heath has twice been awarded Officer of the Year, which is voted on by his peers. So twice in the 20 years, he has been nominated and voted as the department's Officer of the Year. So thank you, everybody.
All right.
Sorry, you have to smile. Oh, that's perfect. Cute. Good.
All righty, next up is our agenda approval. Does anybody have any changes, amendments, additions, deletions?
So I would request adding one item for a quick discussion on a potential Rock Hill Church Road development. It won't be in Stallings, but it will impact a number of Stallings residents.
Can I ask a question to all of council before we vote on that? Would that be appropriate?
Yeah.
All right, so Alex sent 3 projects to us to take a look at, to make a recommendation, because county asked us for recommendation.
Oh, yeah, well,
Correct, Alex?
That's right, yes, sir.
So I would, if we're gonna do this, I'd like to add all 3 of them to the agenda, make a yay or nay based on what they've sent us. And of course, it's not full information, but in addition to that one, there's another one, well, 2 other ones that we probably wanna let them know what we think.
And I'm fine with that. I know the one is coming up for,
2 in
Decision and-
particular are
yeah.
coming up quickly, and so I'm like, I don't care for any of them, but
yeah. Now, do we need to do that in closed session, or can we?
Open session will be the recommendation.
All right, well, then we'll add it to the agenda, and let's make it 9A. Let's call it the 3 Union County proposals. I think we got enough stuff on the computer to figure out what they are. All right, any other things?
And then do we need to remove E from the consent agenda?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'd like to remove E until Brad gets here and explain it. Everybody okay with that? All right, can I get a motion then?
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
No, the whole agenda.
Okay, I'm a little, we kind of jumped around a little bit there.
All right,
So I'll move to approve the agenda with the addition of the 3 Union County projects.
And the deletion of Carpo from the consent agenda. I was
And
just finished.
removing the CRPTO board memorandum from the consent agenda.
yep, all right. Motion by Mr. Ayers,
Second.
second by Mr. Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. I had to think of your last name there, Graham. All righty, first up is rezoning 24.06.01. Oh, excuse me. Thank you. Yeah. First up is a report from the mayor, and I was gonna give this, but I didn't know Eunice was gonna be here tonight. I forwarded that email about the mural to the council. They might not have seen it. Can you come up and give us a quick summary of what's going on?
Surprise, y'all saw it.
Yeah, I sent y'all, well, some of you don't have computers up, so.
So, a few months ago, what we did is there is a local muralist based out of Charlotte. Her name is Heidi Nisbat. She's done some work for Cramerton, North Carolina area, the Virginia Creeper Trail. And what we have kind of worked with her to do is she is going to take the back of one of our shelters in the park and convert it into a big mural hand painted. It's beautiful. We're in the second draft phase. So when we get kind of to the final piece, next council meeting in September, we have it on the agenda for you guys to see the full picture, approve it, and move forward. Now that y'all seen it, it might be a little bit easier, send me your feedback. That way, when I come to you guys in September, I can get your final stamp of approval. The whole point of this is, it looks very similar if you're ever familiar with Blowing Rock. They have a big mural that says greetings from Blowing Rock. It's kind of a picture that you can take in front of. This will be the same concept. It'll say, welcome to Stallings. Each letter has a different historical piece, and it also ties in the presents as well. With Stallings, just in time to celebrate the 50th in January. So as long as everything goes smoothly, y'all love the design, come September, she'll actually be able to start on it in mid-October, and it'll be finished before January 1st. So, yeah, I'm really excited. She has been wonderful to work with, and
It's beautiful. But,
yeah.
Thank you, Eunice.
Yeah, of course.
When did you send this out?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock.
Oh,
Yeah.
that,
We just got it.
Yeah. Oh,
that
stay
explains
tuned.
why I haven't
So, yeah, any questions? You're good?
Well, the other thing is, when I saw Eunice, when she brought this to the historical committee in Houston, at their Texas turnarounds, they have similar murals. We have 2 huge pieces of concrete on those, in our Texas turnaround, they're just sitting there. And what they do in Houston is they have an artist draw murals on those walls. So I don't know how much this is gonna cost us, and I don't know how much he'd charge us to do one on those walls down there. But we'll see, but it does beautify our town. It gives us a good representation of who we are, so.
Yeah, take a look at the picture that he sent you. It's really exciting. So, and the cool part is we're getting the rights to the digital image that she has to mass produce as we wish. So, yeah, exciting. So, thank you, Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Eunice. All right, report from any council members? Graham?
No, Mayor, but I do apologize. Actually, there was another item for the agenda, the roundabout at Lawyers outside of Emerald Lake. I believe there's going to be just maybe an update from Alex.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we don't need to add it to the agenda.
Okay.
You'll just let him give an update during
Sure.
this time? All right. Taylor Ray, anything? Lori?
No.
All right.
No,
Stephen?
sir.
All right, David?
Quick, my grandkids visited and enjoyed our town parks. Now, I enjoy them, my wife enjoys them, but they see them from a kid's point of view is really cool because that's what they're, well, a lot of them, what they're made for. And Eunice, I really appreciate the good job of putting the barriers in place at the end of the greenway. They put it to good use right away with their scooters. And they're only 4 and 3, so they're not electric scooters, they're foot scooters, but they haul. And they had a great time on our town park, so it's great to see them in action. Appreciate all the Parks and Recs' hard work to make them look good. And for the repairs I had seen and mentioned to you. Fast turnaround on that. Thank you.
All righty. Thank you, council. All right, Alex, what do you got for us tonight?
Thank you, Mayor. Just several things, and I'll note the item that Councilmember Hall brought up here a minute ago and explain that. So several things. First, budget line item transfer list, submitting it to the board for the record. Occupancy tax educational materials. Ms. Nichols has kind of helped develop a campaign just to kind of educate residents and business owners and people who frequent in Stallings. Just basic questions, things that we might know being in local government, but perhaps the average person who's going to the ballot box does not. So if you have any feedback, let us know. Just most basic things. There'll be a social media campaign, things like that. But I think Ms. Nichols has done a great job here. And Aaron, anything to add?
No, we just want this to be really simple. I mean, words like occupancy tax or referendum, maybe terms that people just aren't really sure exactly what they mean. So that's the point of this, so that when they get to the polls, they know what they're voting on.
I'll note that I was asked today whether short-term rentals would pay the occupancy tax, and the answer is yes, they would, just like hotels, anything like that.
So that would cover the Airbnb type?
That's right. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah.
Then finally, or several more things. So our police department is CALIA accredited. That's been I guess 3 or 4 year odyssey, really. I want to recognize Chief Franks in our police department. We'll have a proper ceremony, but this is a big deal. Again, years and years went into this. Like Lieutenant Cranford got out of here quick, but he was our point person that Chief had assigned to help with our policies, although it was all the men and the women. Big for a lot of big reasons. One, it saves us money. Insurance premiums decrease. We get a discount with the league. And also, it gives us, amongst other things, confidence that our police department not only has policies that are meeting best practices, but they comply with those policies. And if we mess up, we admit it, and there's disciplinary actions, things like that. I think this is a big deal, something we've been working towards for years since Chief Frank came on board, so great job by them. Also, been reported to me that our farmers, the Sunny Day at Stallings Farmers Market is doing really well. You'll recall one of the challenges that we had when the county was running the market was just vendors weren't getting a lot of traction. The business wasn't there for them. Contracted with a new group, and this is a really test case for whether this market can kind of support the farmers market that the board envisions, helping spur a town center. Early receipts are good as far as what vendors are making. It's still a long way to go, but so far, so good. I want to recognize Miss Donnelly, I about said Miss McSwain, for all the work that she's done, as well as Tori, to kind of find the right people and put them in the right places there. Finally, on the roundabout, at the intersection of Lawyers Road and the Emerald Lake entrance, DOT, as we all know now, if you've been by there, is putting in a roundabout. Now, when it was initially proposed, we were under the impression that it would have a planting in the middle. At some point, and apparently DOT told at least one resident that we know that there would be spots for planting in the middle. However, it seems as though during the design process, DOT looked at it and said, the roundabout is so small that we think that if there's plantings in the middle, that trucks are just going to run over it and get squished and ruin what's ever in the middle. However, they heard some feedback from elected officials that said that, hey, we really like to have Planning's in there exerting pressure on DOT. DOT contacted me on Friday, it's pretty late, and said, hey, would the town be interested in adding plantings to the roundabout? And from there, I've sent out a message to all the council members, letting them know the facts. The cost is high to do it, much more higher than I think we thought. In order to get the concrete out of the way, get basically dirt there, planting, run some conduit under the line so that you could add irrigation in the future. DOT's estimate to us was about $50,400. I can get you the exact number if you'd like it, but that was the rough figure. And that's not the plantings, it's not a design for it, it's not the irrigation system. That's just to basically get the bed of dirt strawed and seeded. So in hearing feedback from y'all, I know there was some skepticism and concern from a fiscal responsibility standpoint. Totally get that. But DOT is looking for an answer fairly quickly because the construction is ongoing for the most part. So I hope that was helpful. Happy to explain or answer any questions that you might have.
All right, let's get a consensus then on what the council feel like doing.
Well, I'll tell you that when we talked about the roundabout at the other end of town, you know, we spoke about that when this one was finished, we would be okay. I mean, we talked about potentially being okay with the cost of actually doing the plantings. I mean, I guess I'm kind of hesitant to pay DOT to redesign something that it sounds like they already had a design for it to begin with, because that was the way it was originally intended to be. So I also think that if they can get the county, maybe the county would chip in some money to help their redesign efforts, if that's the case. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of money for people they've already got on staff to do the work. So
That's a no.
it's a no to the 50 grand. If they did it, I'd be for paying for the plantings in the center.
Well, 50 grand is what we're talking about tonight, so
Yeah.
that's a no.
I think with the size of it, you know, I always like to see plantings in the center of a roundabout, but because it is small, you are gonna have trucks. I agree with them that trucks are gonna be running over it, and, you know, fire trucks and whatever other kind of trucks, so I can't see.
That's a no.
No.
Heather Ray? No. Brett?
Yeah, I'll speak to it. I mean, it's my district, and I believe I voted against the one at the other end of town, so to be consistent, I would vote against it. I don't like spending money for us to take on a project that DOT owns. You know, I'd love to have it, but yeah, 50,000 is too much, especially when you're probably talking 20,000 more for irrigation, or I don't even know, so.
All right. David?
No.
No. Thank you. And I will remind y'all that DOT did not ask us at all about this project.
Yeah, from start to finish.
Yeah, so for them to come back and ask us to do this is a little bit, you know, I don't know where they come from, but it takes a lot of nerve to ask somebody for $50,000 when you didn't ask them, did you think this is a good project for your town? So, thank y'all.
Well, I would just also add, we asked you to go to them, right? And like, we were proactive. So I want that to be clear, like, we were proactive. We requested, hey, can you put in landscaping, right? And they said no, so.
All right.
Would you like me to say, hey, we'd be open to talking about it, but we're not interested in paying for redesigning it? Is that fair?
No.
No.
Or just say no?
No.
It's a flat no.
Flat no.
Got it.
All righty. Chief, you got anything for us tonight?
We've rescheduled the National Night Out for October 1st.
Right. October 1. All right, Eunice, you got anything else for us?
The tennis court resurfacing project, they pressure washed today, and hopefully tomorrow they'll actually start getting it together. So that'll take about 10 business days is what they told me, so we're kind of closing the courts down till Labor Day.
Well, I'll be tongue in cheek. I was at the farmer's market, and 11 o'clock in the morning, there was no pickleballers, but there was four people playing tennis. So just my 2 cents worth. So that decision's already been made, but thank you, Eunice. All righty. So first up is rezoning. Let's see. Shoot, I put the rezoning 24.06.01. Max, you up?
Hello, thank you, council. Let me pull up the memo quick. Okay. All right, so let me zoom in on this. Okay. So I'm here to present RZ 240601. It's a general rezoning for SFR 3, sorry, that's a typo, which is single-family residential 3 to commercial 74. So the Stallings Fire Department requested the rezoning for 2916 Matthews Indian Trail. Currently, like I said, it's a single-family residential 3, and they wanted to do C74. It's 3.79 acres in size. The current use is residential. And the requested zoning for C74 does allow a variety of commercial businesses, but I do think the intent of the Stallings Fire Department is to build a fire station, which is allowed in C74 zoning. But there are a variety of commercial businesses, so I do have a use table in case you need to see all the uses that are allowed in C74, but there's 250 uses on here, so that's just for reference. Any new development on site would still have to comply with tree save, buffers, open space, landscaping, including like a fire station. This is the current street view of the property. You can see there's an aerial. It's quite large. It's across from the new development Bailey Mills Townhomes and very close to Scott Clark Toyota as well. Surrounded by residential zoning, mixed-use zoning, and C74 zoning. So they would want to change this yellow or orange to pink, which allows fire stations. The future land use is walkable activity center. It does promote commercial businesses in walkable activity center. Staff does think that the walkable activity center is consistent with C74 zoning, according to the definition. There's no small area plan for this area, but it does have greenway master plan identified for this area. And the types of greenways that are required for this zoning is urban spine, suburban spine, and typical greenway, which is located right here. So if the property was to develop, they'd be able to choose, the developer or the Stallings Fire Department would be able to choose whichever one they wanted to build out of the three. We had a neighborhood meeting on July 10th, which about 6 people attended overall, and we did not receive any opposition to the rezoning. The planning board also recommended approval at their July 16th meeting. So staff is recommending that RZ 240601 be approved. We believe it's compatible with the future land use plan, the comprehensive land use plan of walkable activity center, future land use. And it aligns with the town's goals for allowing different types of businesses, including all the uses that are allowed in C74. Do you have any questions?
I'll open the public hearing now.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
sorry, I just went ahead and presented.
All right,
Sorry.
any questions for Max?
Did you say that the parcel to the
I can
north,
show
I
you.
guess, is already C74?
It is.
Okay. Okay, and I don't know if this is a typo. I didn't quite get, I think it's on page 3 of your recommendation. Down at the bottom, it says tree save, buffers, stormwater, and open space apply of the property were to be redeveloped.
I probably said apply to the property. Sorry, that's another typo on mine. And currently the use is single family residential. So any development, a redevelopment of the property would be required to do tree-safe buffers, stormwater, and open space.
Okay, that's in the code that they would have
It
to,
is in the development ordinance, yes.
okay. That's all, Mayor.
All right, Stephen?
Just, can you explain, they could choose any one of the three variants of the greenway?
Yeah, so as the Greenway Master Plan is written, so here is an orange line that is, this is the property. It shows the orange line on the property. It's very hard to see, and the designations are vague in the Greenway Master Plan. But it says that this is a C6 Greenway trail, which trail types that are allowed are urban spine, suburban spine, and typical greenway. So that means that these are the three that are allowed, and that we haven't, there's no requirement for them to have to build a specific one. They would be able to choose. I can recommend one to them, and I'm sure they, would want to do something the town would want to do, but I can't require them other than to follow one of these three plans.
Good, Dave.
Well, then, when we get the others developed along the way, along that same pathway, won't we have a mishmash of designs because they get to choose what they want?
It's possible, but I would say we would probably, as staff, would not recommend projects that wouldn't match.
Wouldn't we want staff to, like, we recommend this one to all of them? And
Yeah.
it's not a requirement, but we recommend this one and keep it consistent?
Yeah, I do believe that would probably require an amendment to either this plan or the development ordinance or something more concrete in the ordinance. As it's written right now, it just shows multiple trail types that are allowed. It doesn't say you must or shall.
I didn't use must, I'm saying we recommend this.
Yes, we could,
I mean, until that's changed, or we do change it, but I don't think it would look kind of weird having a mishmash
yeah,
of
it would.
different styles.
It would be weird.
That is my concern. So which one would you recommend? I know which one I would prefer, but.
Well, I don't believe they're too far in the design phase. I would probably say probably a suburban spine because it's not an urban downtown area. But they're not close to any design phase as far as I'm aware. They're just doing the rezoning at this point.
Is there any greenway already developed along that?
So Bailey Mills does have Greenway shown on the other side of their road.
Okay.
But the Greenway Master Plan doesn't specify which side of the road, so we require them on both.
Okay.
And then in front of the hospital, they've got the suburban type, right?
I believe so, yes.
Make a note for us to come back in the future and just make an update to the plan on this.
Yep.
Maybe working with Eunice, just thinking out loud, maybe we simply add, the planning director in consultation with the Parks and Rec director, determine the appropriate greenway of the choices that are given and making it more of a requirement. That way we don't have the mismatch.
Okay.
And hopefully it's not a lot of work for y'all when you go through and do all the updates.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, it was developed by Parks and Rec, but it's kind of like an enforceable document by planning and zoning.
Right.
So, yeah, we definitely need to work together.
Thanks, y'all.
All right, any other questions for Max? We can always bring him back. All right, we have a representative from the fire department here.
Did you want to speak tonight?
I got a couple.
Don't have to unless you have any questions.
Yeah, I got a couple questions.
Okay.
Appreciate you coming out
Oh, no
tonight.
problem.
And then you are,
Justin Giacomowitz.
okay. What's the timeline as far as construction, or what are y'all's plans?
So obviously, we want to get the ball rolling as quick as we can. We have another ISO inspection coming up. It's actually due in about 2 years. What's going to probably have to happen is we need a year's worth of data with the new building being operational before we can really do that inspection. That way, of course, that affects our insurance rates in the towns in the county. We are currently looking with certain builders and talking about design aspects, whether it's a 2-bay station or a 3-bay station, the layouts, things like that, but we have no actual true drawing yet to speak of.
Well, that was my next question.
Yeah,
'cause
so we're just in
the
the
lot is-
concept phase.
Yeah, the lot's 3 acres, and it's,
Yeah.
obviously it's on a slant there, so.
Yeah, so there's got to be some work, and it's going to be a smaller station. We're not trying to build one the size of that one.
Well, it's a great location though, so.
Yeah, it's gonna be very good for us because we got the bypass, we're right on top of the hospital, and obviously near all of our big townhomes, and obviously right across the street from the one that burnt.
Yeah, Bailey Mills could have used you last month.
Yes,
but
yeah,
that's all
yeah,
right.
that would have been a whole lot easier for us. But yeah, currently, we're still in the drawing phase.
Yes, Steve.
Just one question. I mean, what was the response time to get to that Bailey Mills
I
fire?
want to say that was 6 minutes.
6 minutes.
I want to say, I would have to look it up. It was 5 to 6 minutes. It was, obviously, we have paid staff, so they were in the house, in the station. I think there was a little slight hiccup on the dispatch side, because it was called in as something other than fire. So we were behind the 8 ball on that. But of course, if we were 30 seconds across the street, it would have been a whole lot easier for us.
All right, any other questions? Yeah.
You said the ISO review's coming up.
Yes.
If that's fully functional and working properly and the data's there, how many points would the ISO drop, do you guess?
So we were very close to a 1, and obviously, do y'all have the idea of how the system works? A 1 is the lowest, which is obviously the best we can do. We're a class 2 right now, so we were very close to that. When it comes to the big thing that hurt us in the last one was the deployment analysis portion. So we need a fire station basically every 2.5 miles within our coverage area to get the bonus points to get it dropped further. So we're looking at the station here, that will reach everything off the Stallings Road to the county line. And then we're gonna be looking at a Station 3 towards Chestnut and Potter area to cover the other side of the area. So that's obviously in the 5 to 10 year plan, but this needs to be within the next 5. So we would have the possibility of dropping to a 1.
That's good, thank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? All right, thank you for coming out.
No, no problem.
All righty, I'll close the public hearing, and then, council, any discussion or any other further questions for Max? All right, well, what's the pleasure of the council on rezoning 24.06.01?
Make a motion to pass this rezoning as stated, RZ 24.06.01.
Motion. All right, motion by Mr. Scholl and seconded by Ms. Drake, all to approve this rezoning. All in favor? Aye. Aye, ayes have it. And so we have a statement of consistency and reasonableness. And the town council approves the proposed amendment and stated that the town council finds and determines that the zoning amendment is consistent and reasonable with the key guiding principles, goals, and objectives of the comprehensive land use plan for the following reasons. So they're stated. So that's in the record now. So can I get a motion to approve the statement of consistency and reasonableness?
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Laurie, second by Ms. Stephen. Oh,
I think Graham.
I couldn't, I wasn't paying.
It's a tie.
It's a tie.
You both get a medal.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Max. All right, next up is MSP 24.05.01, the Atrium Master Sign Plan Amendment, and I'll open the public hearing and turn it over to Max.
Yeah, hey. So this is my first master sign plan amendment, or first master sign plan. So Atrium Health, the hospital requested an amendment to their master sign plan. They submitted the master sign plan when they originally did the development agreement for that new hospital. Currently, the signs that they requested, so I have some history on the master sign plan process, but I'm gonna skip down to, they're adding 2 signs. One, a directional sign to direct people to, I'll start with the main entrance sign, actually. They're adding this main entrance sign, and it exceeds the size requirements in our ordinance. So they're requesting an amendment to the sign plan to add this sign. They're also requesting an emergency main entrance sign. This exceeds our requirements in our ordinance as well. So these 2 signs, they're adding to the overall sign package, and that is the master sign plan amendment. There are also representatives here as well. They're not changing any of the other signs, they're just adding these 2 signs.
All righty. Any questions for Max?
What is that 1,000? Is that the address?
Yep, it is.
Okay.
1000 Healing Way.
I believe so. I don't know the exact, what's the address?
Healing Way.
Healing Way, yes.
Okay, I'm fine.
All righty, no other questions for Max? All right, and then we have Michael Jordan and Seth Goldwire here tonight. Would y'all have any comments?
Thank you all for considering this. Really, this comes about because we've had really some of our patients, some of our community members at Assault Care, and they've come to the wrong location. And when you're in a medical emergency, every second counts. So this will be to get them to the correct location as quickly as possible. It's not about promoting Atrium. It's about getting people to the right place. Thank you.
Michael, now what is your job?
I'm the Vice President of Operations.
Operations? Okay.
Yes, sir. And Seth is our facility
Yes,
executive.
and Seth runs the hospital, right? Well, while I got y'all here, it says, you've been there 2 years now, and so the response to the community has been outstanding. And we're just so glad y'all are here and look forward to your expansion and just, hopefully we can get some sewer there and put some restaurants around there so y'all can have someplace other to eat than cafeteria, so.
We like to eat, so.
Yeah, there you go. All right. But thank y'all for everything y'all doing over there. All righty, I'll close the public hearing. Can I get a motion from the council?
Make a motion to approve the Atrium Master Plan Sign Plan Amendment, MSP 24.05.01.
I'll second it.
All right, motion by Mr. Scholl, second by Ms. Drake. All in favor?
Aye.
Ayes have it. All righty. Thank y'all. Next up is our text amendment 24.06.01 with the parking regulations. So I'll open the public hearing, and we got Mia coming to bat for the first time.
Yeah, I'm just pulling it up.
And how you pronounce your last name? I can't pronounce Laurie's last name, so I know I can't get this one right.
Polczynski.
Pojinski?
It's Polish.
It sure is.
So I just have your old presentation.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay.
That works. Okay, so hello, council. Like I said, I'm Mia, and I'm the planning intern. This is my second summer here at Stallings, and this is my last full week as an intern. So one of my final projects is to present a text amendment to y'all, and with that, I'll get started. So this is text amendment TX 24.06.01. regarding off-street parking requirements in Article 12 of the ordinance. So with this text amendment, we have two requests. It's kind of two parts. The first part is amending Table 12.1 of the off-street parking requirements in Table 12, or Article 12, I'm sorry. And basically what we want to do is simplify the table. It's very confusing. I'll get into it later, but we just want to simplify it, condense it a little bit, and yeah, hopefully it'll just make it more easy to understand for everyone. And the second part of this text amendment is to reserve sections 12.3-4 and 12.3-5 to the Code of Ordinances. And this is because they relate to the enforcement of the town's parking requirements rather than addressing the requirements for future developments, if that makes sense. Because the development ordinance that apply, the purpose of that is for future developments. The purpose of the Code of Ordinance is enforcing the requirements, if that makes sense. I'll get into it a little bit later. Okay, so before I get into the table, I'm just going to specify when we say off-street parking, we're talking about what's on the left, and that is parking lots, designated parallel spots, and housing guest parking. So that's what the table is going to be applying to, and not what doesn't qualify as off-street parking is residential driveways and street parking without designated spaces. So, yes.
I had a question, because you got a picture there of something that seems to be a problem, and I'm not sure where it's addressed.
Okay.
The rightmost picture where the car is blocking our sidewalk.
Yes.
Where is that addressed, and how do we codify maybe that doesn't happen, or that the design of the home allow for that not to stick down over our sidewalk?
So I'm not sure if that is addressed in Article 12, but it's definitely not addressed in the table. What I'm going to be presenting about in the table doesn't have really anything to do with driveways. So nothing is going to be changing about driveways. Max might be able to answer your question a little bit better.
I don't know the exact specific sections that address that. I do think the code of ordinance might address it, but we probably need some time. I'm not sure.
But it's not relevant to tonight, because everything on the right is not covered tonight's.
Yes, so,
Okay.
yeah, so tonight I'm just talking about off-street parking, and that is on the left. And what I'm not talking about, what's not going to be covered in the table that I'm presenting about, is all on the right. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I just wanted to clarify about that, about the definition of off-street parking. Okay, so this is also important information to consider. So, especially regarding existing developments. So the updating parking requirements only apply to new developments. Nothing is going to change about existing developments. So the existing developments, approved developments, are going to be exempt from the new requirements if they do end up getting approved. And to reiterate again, driveways and off-street parking, or I'm sorry, this is a typo. It's supposed to say driveways and on-street parking are not included in these requirements. So the reason I put that is planning board was very concerned about if driveways were going to be affected, and driveways are not going to be affected. And these objectives were also stated in the memo that was provided to you, and they should also be included in Article 12. So we have 3 main changes to Table 12.1, and I'll show you in a couple slides. But the first objective is to take away the minimum space requirement in the table. And this is for a few reasons. One of the main reasons is that none of the surrounding municipalities have any minimum requirements in their ordinance for minimum parking spaces. And one of the reasons is a minimum requirement can encourage unnecessary spaces to be created, and that just causes unnecessary impervious surfaces. And the second objective is just to condense the land use categories and their requirements overall. So just really condense and simplify the table to make it more user-friendly and easier to use when staff is reviewing the ordinance and new developments. And then the third objective is to incorporate the minimum bicycle space requirement into Table 12.1. And we're not making any changes to the bicycle requirements. They already exist in the ordinance. We're just moving them, adding them to the table so it's easier to see, easier to locate. So we're not creating any new requirements, we're just adding it to the table.
Where are they located now, and what are those requirements?
So I will show you, pretty much all of the requirements are the same for each category. I'm not exactly sure what section it is in Article 12, but I'll show you the requirements that exist now in a couple slides. And you can ask more questions when I pull it up. So flipping back to Article 12.3-4 and 3-5. So our main request, like I said before, is just to reserve this for the Code of Ordinances, just because that's really where it belongs and it already exists there. We're just basically reserving it only for the Code of Ordinances and kind of taking it out of the ordinance, the development ordinance, just because it doesn't really apply. So it'll just be listed as a reserve section. So before I created the new table, 12.1, I conducted some research for surrounding municipalities just to ensure that everything was consistent. And I created these summary tables just for my own reference to make sure everything was consistent. And here's an example. This is the one for Mint Hill. Just some research that I did before I revised our table. And here is the table that exists now in the ordinance. I have copies if anyone would like one. It's very lengthy. If anyone wants a physical copy, okay.
Take one.
The current table that exists right now. This is the long one. The one that I just gave you is the proposed new table.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, so here's part one. This is the table that is in the ordinance right now. And here's the second half of it. And then this is the new proposed table after revision. You can see it's a lot more simple, a lot more easy to understand. Yeah, so this is what we're hoping to approve. And I just have a little comparison example, so you can kind of see the before and after of what we're trying to do. It kind of really emphasizes how we're just trying to simplify the calculation. So if you were to look at the current table that we have in the ordinance right now, the maximum space requirement allowed is 1 per 0.33 operator stations plus 1 space per 2 employees on a shift of greatest employment. If you were to try to develop a new hair salon in Stallings, and that's a little difficult to calculate. So what we want to change that to is 5 per 1,000 square feet of the ground floor area, which is just a lot more easy to check when we're reviewing plans, and it's a lot more easy to calculate. There's just less variables. So Planning Board did meet on June 18th, and they did approve this new text amendment, but they had some reservations about the lack of minimum parking requirements, especially for residential areas. Hopefully I conveyed about the residential parking better this time. Hopefully it was more clear that it's really not affecting residential parking at all. Like, it's really not affecting driveways. The only thing that it would affect in residential areas are if there's a parking lot, like within a neighborhood or within an apartment complex. Like, it has to be designated parking spaces and not driveways. So hopefully that's more clear. But tonight I presented a table that best aligns, we feel, with the goals in the comprehensive land use plan to reduce parking minimums. That's specifically stated in the comprehensive land use plan, so we want to be consistent with that. And however, if council does want to include minimums, if you have concerns about not having minimums, we have created an alternative version of the table that includes minimum parking spaces, and I have that as well, if you want to look at that. So this is the minimum.
Thank you.
So, as far as staff's recommendation, staff has acknowledged the need to revise Table 12.1 to make it clearer, more simple, a little less confusing, and more easily interpreted by its users. Additionally, staff also recommends that sections 12.3-4 and 12.3-5 become reserved sections in the ordinance. And finally, we have the vote and statement of consistency and reasonableness. So we do recommend the approval of this text amendment on the basis that it's consistent with the goals and strategies in the comprehensive land use plan and consistent with surrounding municipalities. So with that, you can go ahead and ask questions.
All right, well, thank you, Mia.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have the same concern the planning board has about the minimum. I mean, let's take the hospital and the school, which right now, well, I'm sure we did have minimum parking spaces, and their parking lots are never full except at the school unless there's a specific. So there's too many parking spots. But what happens if somebody doesn't have enough, builds an apartment complex, which I don't think any more are going to be built in Stallings, but you know, that would be one that I would think you need, you know, a minimum amount so that they have, people have spots to park their cars where they live. I'm not that concerned about a residential neighborhood, a single family, but apartments I would be concerned about. But that's my concern about not having a minimum, so I appreciate y'all doing it both ways, so.
Yes, I will say developers tend to err on the side of the maximum parking. They really want to maximize the amount of parking just because it really benefits their development to have enough parking for everyone. So usually, parking spaces are on the side of the maximum requirement and not really the minimum requirement, if that makes sense. Like usually the minimum is exceeded in most cases.
Well, yeah, but with an apartment unit, probably 1 or 2 cars, not gonna be 3, but it's pretty well defined. But, you know, a school and the hospital is under, as a variable. But I just think for multifamily units, and if we get any commercial development that's retail at some of our larger intersections, you know, we certainly want to have to me, we want to have a minimum amount because it benefits them to put money-making pieces of property on it versus parking because they don't charge for parking. So, and so that's, I don't want to leave that to chance. There won't be enough parking. Now, granted, they want enough parking so they bring in people who are spending money. So, but, you know, it's a fine line in my opinion. All right. Anybody else?
Yeah, I'm confused on table 12.1 after revision.
Okay. Would you like me to go back to the slide?
12.1.
Yeah, that one. All right, the upper left, off-street parking. Maybe I don't understand what off-street parking is in a residential area.
Yeah, of course. So off-street parking would be like if you had a clubhouse in your neighborhood, for example, it would be like that parking lot that attaches to the clubhouse. Does that make sense? Like if there's a separate parking lot? Yeah, sure.
750 homes. We're talking about a residential.
Next to the pool,
Yeah,
those are off-street.
those are. The maximum is 3 per unit. There's no minimum currently after the revision.
Yes, after the revision, no minimum.
And of all the places that could use a minimum bicycle spaces, that's probably the only one I can think of that would.
Yes, so someone asked about the minimum bicycle spaces, and I forgot to mention it, but these are the current bicycle spaces that already exist in the ordinance. So we just moved them to this part of the chart. It's generally 5% of automobile spaces.
What does that, sorry to drag this on.
No, it's okay.
Defines a bicycle space, a rack with slots?
Yes. And also to address your question about Shanamar, if you're talking about Shanamar specifically, the golf course. Since that's already been developed,
Just an
nothing would change
example.
about that. Okay.
Either the golf course or even the pool parking lot that the HOA owns.
Mhm.
But that's a maximum of 3 per unit. That'd be well, beyond. And a golf course, I see that's down there somewhere else.
Yes, it's the bottom,
Yeah,
bottom right corner, yeah.
which we have 2 golf courses in our town. But they're all already existing. We're not gonna get any more.
Yeah, no, those would be exempt from
Yeah.
any new changes, yes.
So real quick though, like you said, you used the example of like a clubhouse. That would fall under which one of these categories?
That would fall under residential dwelling.
So
Correct.
So, for development, we don't have a specific clubhouse parking, but for the residential, yeah, they could exceed, have 3 per unit out of, let's say it's 100 homes, they could have 300 parking spaces. That could, they probably do not want to, I would say, I've never had a residential development want to build a large parking lot. They always want to build less. And this would encompass parallel parking, clubhouse parking, and any other additional parking lots.
okay, I mean, sort of with the mayor on the minimal parking, but at the same token, just when you said that, I mean, that would mean like for Shantamara, the minimal parking they would need 300 parking spots for,
Our current ordinance has something like that,
okay.
and I want to make it more clear.
So taking away the minimum, we're basically just trying to get rid of like excessive parking spots that no one's gonna use.
Can I do a hypothetical here?
Sure.
The divide. Let's put in a brand-new clubhouse, similar to what Emerald Lake did a couple years ago. That count as a whole new development? They have to have 5, no, they can't have more than 5 per 1,000 square feet of field?
Right, they would have to come into compliance with the current ordinance, like any new development, if they were to develop anything over 1,000 square feet. So all new developments, not just a golf course, would have to come into compliance. And they have to do that anyways with the current ordinance.
Okay.
With the current parking table. The current parking table is really just really difficult to define parking. She used the hair salon as an example, like next door, she didn't know how many operating stations she was gonna have. Development, and almost every single one of our categories in the current ordinance has some nuance, like 0.33 parking spaces per station or something like that. And it's increasingly difficult, all the redevelopment happening in town to create.
Laura, did you have a question?
Yeah, so in the, when you have the minimum and the maximum, that chart,
Yes, ma'am.
and you have, dwelling residential, 1 per unit, and that would be in addition to the driveways, the minimum, that would be in, you can't just have 1 per unit, 1 parking space per unit. So you said that the driveways are not considered off-street parking?
Correct.
They're just their own thing?
Yes, the driveways
So-
are separate.
So the residential dwelling would, the minimum would be 1 per unit. Like in my development, we've got like 600.
Yeah, so that would be in addition to driveways.
Yeah,
That would be additional parking spaces.
yeah.
And that's similar to what we have now in the ordinance.
I don't know. And I disagree with the mayor about the school. I don't know if you're talking about the elementary school, but I don't think that they have too many parking spaces. If you go by there during the day with, the, in school, there's not a lot of extra parking there. Not that we're talking about it existing. I don't know. I don't know.
Let's do another hypothetical. Hotels, since I stay in a lot of them. The maximum automobile space is 5 per 1,000. What does GFA stand for again?
A grand floor area, or gross floor area.
Gross
Yes.
floor area.
Yeah.
So hotels 3 stories high,
Mhm.
50 by 200. So 50, so would that be is it it's just his footprint or not? Or,
We would ask the developer to submit the gross floor area, and we would do the calculation, and they wouldn't be able to exceed past that calculation of parking, 5 for however many they plan on doing.
right,
But let's say they had 200 spaces maximum they could build. Require them to submit a whole calculation, parking, meet the parking maximum, so they could build 50 instead of 200. I'm just using it random.
yeah, right, I know, because.
200 sounds like a lot.
Well, no, if you got 3 floors, 20, 60 rooms, you're gonna need,
Yeah, it does depend on the size of the lot, though. A lot of people.
Now, does Matthews have this similar? I know y'all looked at Matthews Mint Hill.
Yes.
They don't.
I don't
No.
I just don't know exactly what the parking table looks like.
I'm not sure exactly, or I don't have it in this presentation, but I will say the parking table that I came up with is a little bit of an average of our current one, Waxhaw, Mint Hill, Matthews, and Indian Trail. So it's kind of an average of all of those, since they have similar development patterns.
Do all of those just have maximums now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, go ahead, Dave.
The hospital, 6 per 1,000 square feet of GFA. They're probably going to be building a 9-story addition next couple of years. How will that affect? Can you walk us through that? I don't know what the square footage is. I don't know any of that, but I know 9 stories is a lot of square feet, and they're only going to be able to have 6. Is that reasonable?
Maximum.
I know.
So they probably won't build their maximum. They're gonna still wanna build the land with the building. So it really allows the developer a lot more flexibility on how much parking they can and can't build. I would say, so, for example, the building is, I don't know however many stories you said. 9-story building, and they'll have to come up with their gross floor area to me, submit it, then we'll have a calculation of a maximum. Well, they can do 0 to the maximum amount of number. They're not gonna wanna do the maximum, they wanna build a building. So, and they have most of properties are confined with the footprint of the layout of the parcel. So it just gives the developer a lot more flexibility on how many spaces they can. So they could have 0 spaces if they wanted to, but I don't think they were gonna want to. We'll just have a maximum.
Well, I appreciate y'all making it simpler on one sheet here, but what's the downside for us having the minimum automobile spaces?
Yes, so you're talking about the existing table with the minimums?
No, using the sheet y'all passed out with the maximum and the minimum beside it, it spells it out pretty plainly. What's the downside to having the minimum?
So the downside of having a minimum requirement is it just kind of enforces a certain amount of parking spaces, even if they're not necessary. So like even if a business doesn't need many parking spaces, it's still forcing them to have a certain amount of parking spaces. And it's just like extra impervious surfaces that aren't needed. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I understand, but I see the gap between, like on the hospital, it's 2 to 6, that's a big gap. The developer can choose 3, 4, or 5, he doesn't have to do 2, he doesn't have to do 6.
I would say Never had a developer. And this also meets the goals of the comprehensive land use plan as well. Adopted in 2016 once.
I just don't want to get boxed in where, uh, where we're caught short and then people are complaining. I mean, they're not going to complain to us, they'll complain to whoever owns the property, but, all right, me and David, Stephen have talked enough. So, anybody else have any questions for me?
Max, what is your leverage? If we say maximum, a hospital is 6 per 1,000 square feet of GFA, and they want that, or you want it less and they say they want more. I don't think that they would want more, but
Currently, the use table in the ordinance, like building lot patterns, like building placement, open space buffers, are still required to, all developments need to follow. And then they also have to fit parking on top of that. So, the leverage is the ordinance itself, with those buffer requirements, building placement. Additionally, certain uses like apartments require conditional zonings. Staff could recommend or not recommend, or council could not approve or approve certain developments that didn't meet the desired amount of parking. So just thinking about, a parcel being developed, they still have to put the building, tree safe, buffers, open space, and parking. This just kind of gives the developer and staff a lot more flexibility in the design, because parking minimums are kind of sometimes remove certain parcels being able to be developed because they can't fit all of those requirements of the ordinance.
then if you can't develop it unless you have fewer spaces, then you don't have enough, you might not have it.
May not, and they'd have to apply for a conditional zoning. We've had that happen before. I would say all the developers that I've talked to over the last few years have wanted a max.
Those are the developers.
Yeah.
Those aren't the.
Stephen?
Just one more quick question. I mean, you were doing comparisons between that at any time during, did you interview any of those folks to determine if they have seen any type of issues with minimal requirements or not having any minimal requirements?
No, I just looked at their ordinance for each of the municipalities, just compared their charts, and they were all very similar.
Okay.
So I'm assuming that it's not a problem, but I didn't speak to anyone specifically about that.
And do you have any idea when that went into effect, the maximum, like Mint Hill?
I don't have specific dates. I would have to check that.
That would make a difference to me to see if it just went into effect 2 years ago or 6 years ago, and then you'd say, okay, how does it work? This, whatever they have, a hotel, they have hotels there, or a restaurant or something.
Is there anything to add about that?
All righty. Any other further questions, or y'all need more time to digest this, ask more questions, or y'all ready to vote?
I would like more time to digest, and there's parts of this I like, and parts of it I'm totally confused and not able to make a solid decision.
Right, me too. And you're gone next week?
Yes, ma'am.
Call you back. Max, I'm just wondering if you could get that information that I was just talking about, how long Mint Hill, for instance, has been.
See what the years of when all those municipalities adopted their ordinance?
Yeah, and how they're working. I mean, to me, I would think it's got to have been 5 or 6 years ago that they adopted it, so that, you know, you'd have a better picture of how it is working. I mean, if somebody adopted it 2 or 3 years ago, it may not, you know, you might have had one project that, you know, they're small towns. Indian Trail's bigger than us, but.
All righty, I'll close the public hearing, and then it sounds like we're going to table this to the next one, and then if we're not ready then, we'll table it again. But Mia, thank you for all this information, and I hope you had a great summer working here.
Thank you.
Remind me again, where are you at school?
UNC Charlotte.
Charlotte, okay.
Yes. I am a master's student now. I just
Okay.
graduated this past summer.
Your undergrad was in planning as well?
Yeah, technically geography, but my concentration is urban planning.
Yeah, that's what mine was.
Yeah, and it's kind of the same for my master's. Yes.
Yeah, but I only lasted a week in the master's program. I had to get a job. I need some money.
Well, I made it about a semester and a half, so.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
thank you for all your work. And
Thank you very
thanks
much.
for Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, Justin, Courtyards at Emerald Lake Subdivision Road Acceptance. How you doing tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Let's see. Okay. I'm here to request to accept the .656 miles of the Emerald Lake subdivision right-of-way. That includes the streets, the street lighting, the sidewalks, the curb, and the roadways. Staff received a request from EPCON for the town to accept the right-of-way, which that memo was in your packet. They have fulfilled all of our roadway acceptance application requirements. We also, as you know, we did a right-of-way study on all the sidewalks in town, and all the sidewalks in that subdivision are ADA compliant, so we're good there. And this would add to our number for the POW bill, so we would also get extra funds for resurfacing in the future. Here is a aerial of what subdivision I'm talking about here. Do you guys have any questions?
Yeah, where do their roads rank in our?
They weren't part of the study, last study, because we had not
Yeah, where would
accepted them.
just your estimate, where would you put them? Or just
In
good,
the
bad?
they're in probably the 80s.
In the 80s?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
They're still good.
Good.
So they would be part of our preventative maintenance. We wouldn't have to do any kind of mill or overlay.
Any questions for Justin? All right, what's the pleasure of the council?
I move that we direct the engineering department to sign off and accept the roads.
All right, motion by Laurie. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
We have a second by Mr. Ayers to accept the road in Emerald Lake subdivision, Courtyards at Emerald Lake subdivision. All in favor?
Aye.
The ayes have it.
Thank you,
All right,
council.
Thank you, Justin. All right, Kevin, you're up to Town Hall HVAC project. How you doing tonight?
Doing all right. How y'all doing?
Good, good.
Well, appreciate your time this evening. Here tonight to seek council's approval for the HVAC replacement and improvement project over there at Town Hall. There's some history behind this project. I think the past few fiscal years, there's been about $380,000 approved each fiscal year for that project replacement. But ultimately, last year, during the FY 2024 fiscal year budget approval process, so that would have been July 2023, we realized that we needed to pursue engineering and design work in accordance with state statutes, that being the Mini Brooks Act. And so ultimately, council approved a contract to pursue that engineering and design work to really analyze the issues over there at Town Hall, the HVAC issues, and come up with a solution. And so, before I kind of jump into that, I really want to stress the necessity of this project, because since we started that design work, we've had pretty significant issues that are kind of hindering operations over there in Town Hall. So, for instance, I think the auditors were in about a month ago at this point, and we had to relocate them from the large conference room because it was just too hot in there. The respective air handling unit wasn't running all night, so it was a toasty 85 degrees when they got into the office there. We've also had to cancel developer meetings and other meetings as well from occurring in that large conference room. Currently, one of the air handling units are down and completely failed, and Chief has been working with me and not being too upset with me that the back half of PD has been operating on portable AC units for about 2 months at this point. We've had condensers go out, contactors go out, and the air handling units up there. We've had leaks occur through the ceiling on the second floor of Town Hall over there, all stemming from this failing HVAC system. And so, ultimately, this design we've been pursuing looked at, temperature control. How do we get consistent temperatures throughout the building? How do we resolve these reoccurring maintenance issues that we're seeing? And then ultimately, how do we maximize the efficiency, from the benefit of energy bills and overall power consumption? So, with those 3 goals in mind, we started the design process, and to achieve those 3 goals on an ideal option, in an ideal situation, it was pushing $1.8 million. Obviously, that cost-benefit analysis was not there, so we decided to take that, scale the scope of work back a little bit, and look at another option to achieve these 3 goals as well. That option, that scaled back scope, was still over $1 million, and so with all that work in mind, we decided that the most financially feasible solution was really just a one-for-one replacement with alternative improvements as well. And those alternative improvements would be insulating the attic up there, installing air conditioning in that attic as well, because if it's 100 degrees outside, it's 120, 130 degrees in that attic, and that's really causing a lot of the main issues that we're seeing these HVAC units undergo. And also, we'd like to finish the window tinting of Town Hall to really keep the internal temperature of the building cooler when the sun's beating down on it, especially during the summer. So, again, I mentioned that these went through the list of issues that we're currently seeing, so staff certainly believes that this project needs to happen sooner than later, just to continue operations as we would like. And I know we don't have another council meeting until September 9th, so that's really ultimately why I'm bringing this to you tonight, to get your approval for that for that budget of that project not to exceed $250,000, so we can get the ball rolling on that project. And so before I open it up for any discussion or questions, I want to reiterate that we did have an approved construction budget for this project in this fiscal year of $330,000. We believe this holistic project, from the replacement to the additional improvements, will be well underneath that. And also want to mention that we currently have 2 quotes received by HVAC contractors. Staff will re-advertise and re-solicit for bids to see if we can get a 3rd quote to ensure competitiveness. But ultimately, if we can't get that 3rd quote, we would go with the lowest bidder of the 2 we have now. And we're also seeking window tinting quotes and installation quotes for the attic up there as well. So with that, I'd be happy to take any questions.
All right. Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate it. And Mr. Craver, I'll let you know that we've had spirited discussion on this for many months, and about how much money to spend. And so I'm sure any documents that you want, just send an email to Mr. Parker there, and he'll get them to you. But it was thoroughly vetted out by this council. It wasn't a unanimous decision right off the bat. So Mr. Parker did a good job of explaining it to the council. So I want to reassure you that we take it serious when we're spending this kind of money. So any questions for Mr. Parker?
I just have a question about the windows. How old are they?
The windows, do you know if they're the
They're
originals?
original to the building, ma'am. So, mid-2000s.
All right. They need replacing.
Option as well. It's something to look into.
Yeah, tinted, yeah, just tinted.
I will say, we were impressed by how much the temperature degree drop was just with tinning. I think we were talking to Mayor Pro Tem Scholl, and he's actually measured that at his house.
Yep.
10 to 15 degrees.
Yeah.
And it feels it. So we do think, obviously, not just doing it the same way we were doing it, but also coming up with these creative solutions, like addressing the issues in the attic, as well as the window tinting. It won't be kind of a month-to-month, some big change, but I think what it'll be is it'll really prolong the useful life of the machinery systems, right? Because they're not in that extreme environment, and help out a lot. So I want to credit Mr. Parker for working with everybody. And again, thank our entire staff for their cooperation, Chief, all your folks as well. Max, you and your team, and everyone who's had to deal with some really tricky situations with the HVAC, and hopefully we'll get this wrapped up quickly.
Hey, any questions for Kevin?
Again, I'll just ask the one quick question is that, again, between it's the one replacement, and I asked this of Alex, I mean, that's going to at least, I would hate to spend, $250,000 if at the end of that $250,000, we still didn't have a system that was meeting the goals of doing the work, you know what I'm saying? If it was just, what I heard is that the whole system was having some issues. So do we feel like there's one-to-one replacement? Sounds like we're still gonna have some issues with what's over there. Can you tell us a little bit about any type of adjustments that are gonna happen to kind of rectify some of the distribution of AC, heat? And are we replacing any heating over there or just the AC units?
It's just the AC units, yep. And no, that's a good question. So right now, our units over there are 15 to 20 years old.
Yep.
And they don't even make refrigerant for them anymore when those have issues. So that's one thing we're addressing by kind of upgrading these machines as well, so we can do recurring maintenance on it without any issues. When it comes to the specific distribution throughout the building, that's not gonna change. That's where a significant portion of that price increase was associated with when we were looking at other options, was reworking the ductwork, optimizing the ductwork as well, so we're not having units draw all the way across to the furthest part of the building. But also we're dealing with size constraints up there in the attic, getting in and out of the attic, appropriately sized units in and out of the attic. So again, it's not going to be a perfect replacement, but what it will provide is we do expect to get a full 15, 20-year life cycle out of these units, similar to what we have now, and mitigate future maintenance costs by, I truly believe that after all this work we've done looking into this, that cooling down the attic up there will significantly improve the operation, the functionality of these units, and prolong the life of them.
Okay.
Mr. Parker, do you mind bringing up the memo and just going
I'm
into
sorry.
action items? Thank you, sir.
Just got started and completely forgot about that.
On it.
So, not to rehash, but I guess I am. This was, when it first came to us, this was a two-step project, right? We would bid out to get a consultant or design company, and then the hope was that we could take that design and then go and bid that out. So we've done the design, and what they've come back, is it that what they've come back with, all the things in that design, that's costing the 1.8?
Yes.
Okay.
Ultimately, yes. And again, to achieve those three goals with, optimizing the efficiency of the unit, correcting all the temperature control issues, and reducing all the recurring maintenance we're seeing, it was a significant amount. They pretty much would have had to gut the whole building and redo all the duct work. I know that would have entailed upgrading the electrical panel to a 400 amp electrical panel because our generator was tied into it. So all of those things considered really drove up the price.
Right, and then the $1 million, so did we go back to that firm and say, we can't, this is.
We did. We
They
did.
came up with a reduced plan.
Yeah.
And still, when we bid it out, it was $1 million?
Yes. Yes. And again, just going back to, it was a different kind of operating system, but we would still have to gut and reroute the existing ductwork and do some electrical improvements and things of that nature that really started to add up.
All right, and then the last is, so when did it become, so we have 15 to 20-year units over there. When did this problem really start rearing its ugly head?
So I can only speak to when I joined the town in 2018, and that problem was there when I was happening. We had balancing issues. It's been a long-term problem. I'm told by long-term staff that this has been an issue in some form or fashion from the outset of the building. I think what it was just a poor design, an unusual design. But I think it's been exacerbated recently by the fact that a lot of the units are failing due to that poor design because of as much as anything, the heat up there in the attic. Mr. Parker, please correct me where I'm wrong.
No, that's accurate. It's the biggest issues is that it gets so hot and humid up there. Those things are running at full speed all the time. The condensing lines, they're freezing. So the unit's completely shut down. And then by the time we get them unfrozen and up and running, it's 85 degrees and it's just recurring. It's
Plus
recurring.
You're using a much more efficient, well, I hate to say Freon because it's not, but.
I think it's R410 is
You're
what.
using the most efficient and
Yeah.
modern. It is. So I have, one of my units is newer than the other one, and it's amazing. It is cooler and quieter.
Yep.
Councilmember Harrell, I've been here since 2008.
Since 2008?
Yes, sir. I think Mayor Dunn could probably tell you there were some council meetings.
And not just for the topic.
Not just for the facts.
All righty, I think I've heard enough. Can I get somebody to make a motion to authorize the town manager to approve the HVAC replacement project with a budget not to exceed $250,000? This approval is contingent upon staff pursuing additional estimates to ensure competitiveness and compliance with state bidding statutes and the town's bidding policy, as well as securing approval from the town's legal representative.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Shoal, second by Ms. Drake. All in favor? Aye. Ayes have it. All right, Kevin, thank you for the
Thank
work
you
on
all.
this. Oh, what's the timing? I know you got to get a third bid, but,
We're actively seeking now, and that's the reason why I didn't include, I had a kind of ethical dilemma on, since we're actively soliciting, to include the quotes that we have, so I wanted to leave those out. But it should be any day here that I'm getting.
the one-to-one replacement could be done quickly, I would imagine.
Yes, they said very conservatively, it would be a week and a half. But realistically, they said 5 business days.
All right, so hopefully by September, y'all are cool. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All righty, Alex, number 9, the employee pay study and kickoff.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll be brief here. As you all know, one of the council priorities is to focus on long-range planning. And as a part of that fiscal priority, we want to make sure that we're making thoughtful and strategic investments in the money that we do spend. We want to make good investments, spend money where we have to, and not spend more than we need to. And as part of that, we do a pay and classification study for staff, typically every 3 to 5 years, to make sure that we stay competitive with the market. As you know, that's in the budget for this year. And there's one narrow issue I'd ask the board to weigh in on. And specifically, I've heard differing perspectives on whether the pay and classification study should include the town council stipend for analysis. And I'm seeking the council direction tonight on whether to include that for analysis.
So that's the only action you need, because we've already budgeted for the
Right,
pay
yes, sir.
study. So,
No difference in cost?
No, sir, it would not increase the cost of the analysis. You wouldn't be committing to making that change as far as the stipend change. You would simply be including it in the analysis for study.
In favor of including it?
well, if it doesn't cost anything,
Exactly.
but we ought to get them to analyze those guys in California that are making, $100,000.
I don't want to be quite like that.
Wait a minute, that's an option?
All righty, well, let everybody, Graham, what's your opinion?
Yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right, that's unanimous vote.
Thank you, sir.
All right. Next up is 9A, the 3 county proposals. So Alex, I'll leave that up to you. Turn it over
Yeah,
to
absolutely.
you.
I'll pull it up and Max, ask
Max
you to
will
help
help
me
out.
with this where you
Yeah.
can.
I don't know, I don't have the other site plans up.
Yeah, I'll put it on the,
Okay, good,
on the
'cause I
drive.
don't know, okay.
So
So
take
please-
them in any order you want, Alex, whatever you want.
Okay, thank you, sir. Start with this one because it's the closest. And just for everybody's understanding, I think this is somewhat confusing because it's a new process for all of us. But I do think it's a good process in that as our area grows, right, we're kind of, it's not like we've got these, super separated places, right? Everything's kind of growing together, and when you have that, you have these kind of territorial issues. And sometimes developers can try to take advantage of where they file strategically. And so the county, when they get certain development applications, it sounds like are going to bring it and ask for our feedback when they do, if it's close to Stallings, to our jurisdiction. So we're not gonna have all the answers that you may have like we would with a conditional zoning, We simply are seeing it at first blush. We asked the county if they'd be available to come and present this to you and perhaps provide a lot more information that you may seek. They're not able to do that at this time. So right now, we're just going to present it, first reaction, and if you would like to make a recommendation, we would certainly send that to the county. And like anything else, sending a letter is effective, but I think the most effective thing is for you all to engage with your colleagues on the county board and really advocate for the town that way. Okay, so with that spiel, let's load this up and look at it. So you can see here Rock Hill Church Road, and I believe, Max, this is an entrance to Emerald Lake, is that right?
It's the back door.
So I know we've heard a lot of concerns from those residents. Staff have concerns over whether this is the highest and best use and whether it would fit with the character of the land there, so.
What is the proposal?
Our understanding, it's kind of an RV stop of sorts, kind of a truck stop kind of place. I know truck stops envisioning maybe like a building, showers, things like that. I'm not sure if it's like that. It's more of a larger parking lot, if you will. That's it in a nutshell as far as we know.
Well, it's also going to be down the street from the neighborhood that Kevin Presley is going to be asking us to annex into the town with $1 million plus homes. So, and plus there's some very nice homes on Rock Hill Church Road. They're not in Stallings, they're on the same side of the road. I mean, obviously Emerald Lake's a very nice neighborhood too. So I agree with, it just doesn't fit the area. That many more trucks coming down Lawyers Road, 218, to do whatever they need to do there, get service, gas, park, whatever. Just doesn't seem fit the residential vibe of that area.
Concur.
So there's no zoning in this area?
There is zoning. It's
There is.
zoned by the county. So they've submitted a development application to the county. It's in Union County, but it's unincorporated, which means that the county has authority over it from
Right,
a
but-
zoning perspective.
But what's the zone, if there is zoning?
All of these are conditional zonings. I'm not sure the underlying zoning. They haven't even met for a community meeting.
So there's zoning or there's not?
There is zoning, I just don't know what it is. It's proposed to be conditional zoning.
I would guess it's R40.
Yeah, it's a good guess.
Yeah.
R40, R20, something like that. Yeah.
And so they are meeting next Tuesday, I believe, the 20th. So I actually already emailed Union County to just, as a resident, and voice my thoughts on this. You know, and I've heard other people say they're against it. I don't see, to your point, it being the highest and best use, but, you know, that's a private property owner's decision. I think it just presents a lot of concerns. Rock Hill Church Road isn't the greatest road to drive down. There's not a lot of space. So right away, like, you put RVs on that, you're gonna have people getting in accidents, and yeah, I think it's gonna diminish property values and doesn't fit, I think, what we're going for, and especially with our town.
Yeah.
I can't remember the tool that you use where it shows where this is located, where this parcel is on the map.
GPS system.
Yeah. I guess I'm just not that familiar. I'm opposite
No.
side of town, I'm just not that familiar.
You know, the back end, well, that is the back entrance of Emerald Lake.
So can you bring up a Google?
It's our main entrance right now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you mean,
Yeah, they're getting a lot of
there
traffic
you go.
out there.
That's a good one.
Max, help me out here. Is it,
Right there where your cursor is.
please, help.
Right where your
I was
cursor
just gonna
is.
say, I was nervous to do this. I don't know anything about these developments
I'm
at
an
this
amateur
time.
planner. Here's the
Yeah, there it is. Right? I mean,
Yeah, it's on this property here. I don't know anything about the development property. I don't know anything because I haven't researched it enough to have an answer for you
like
tonight.
you said, it's all preliminary, even with the
Yeah.
county.
Correct.
So we just need to give them,
And I'll pull it up on Go Maps too.
Get rid of that box when you go back.
Give me a second. I think this might be even better for you, council, to look at the parcel.
Except for I want to show the satellite view there when you get
Okay.
back.
We can do that.
That's it.
Well, hold on, let me just do, I like base maps.
Oh, that's a good satellite view right there. Look at all the cars parked in that repair shop.
Where's the repair shop?
I believe it's here.
Something's called Whistle Stop Repair Auto something.
And I've already emailed the county saying that planning staff was against this use because it doesn't fit the character of the area. And I also did it for one of the other ones, but there's a third one that I didn't give them an answer for yet.
Graham, what did you say about a meeting, August 20th?
I think either the planning board for the county commissioners are meeting, or the county itself is meeting. They received a response.
is it their community meeting first, or? 'Cause that's had.
Land use board will meet on August 20th.
That's not the planning board. So
Yeah, I don't know the dates for their meetings. I asked Union County for the meeting dates for this, and they said some of them are too early to tell, and they didn't give me any of the other meeting dates.
Also, an active discussion within your neighborhood.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't seen anyone in favor of it.
Yeah, I've been receiving phone calls about it a lot.
And apparently, I noticed is only went to 20 people.
Surrounding.
The closest residents, so.
All righty, well, you've sent a letter to the planning director of
Bjorn,
Bjorn, and
I just,
then,
for this one.
Alex, can you draft something to the town manager or county manager, please? Absolutely. And saying the council opposes this for this various reasons, it doesn't fit the character. What about Max can help you draft that? Graham, if you want to give me your reasons that you put in your, it just doesn't fit the character. And then obviously, you know, y'all that know any county commissioners, we need, they're the ones that vote. So we need to, you know, Melissa lives in Emerald Lake, so we need to let her know how we feel. And anybody that knows any of the other ones, even if you don't know them, let them know how we feel.
Would you like me to move on to the other one?
Yeah.
Okay, so I did the same exact thing for this
Can
one.
I just add one thing? The land use board is their planning board.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, that, I just pulled it up, and the land use board is their planning board. So that is their planning board meeting.
Or are you gonna try to get a group of people to go there?
I'm not a leader.
Huh?
I'm not a leader. No, I mean, I think.
But as,
I think you
know
need
of
to
it.
give him the card again, Alex.
but as Max
So-
said, they haven't had their community meeting, or are they not required to do the same thing as we are, or?
Yes,
Met with the community.
Oh, they did?
Well, my understanding is they have already met with the people in Emerald Lakes.
Oh,
They had a
okay.
meeting at our clubhouse.
Gotcha.
For the 20 people they let know.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any meeting dates or their processes.
So the planning board, their planning board's gonna hear it on the 20th, so.
But on a similar note, this one is a conditional zoning as well. It's right next to Courtyards on Lawyers Road. This is in the county, so I'll show you in the Go Maps. As you can see, it's the entrance to Courtyards on Lawyers, and this is Lawyers Road exit on 485. They want to build a storage facility that encompasses the entire property. And I've already told them that it doesn't fit the character of the land as well.
I can't believe we haven't annexed it. I mean.
Yeah, they came to me.
I thought we were up against the county line, but obviously not.
Yeah, this developer came to me multiple times, and we don't have a future land use for this property, and I was saying it might possibly be difficult to get a storage facility to, you know, locate there, and they think they went to the county instead. So,
Well, same thing, it doesn't fit the character of our neighborhood, but the other thing is, that land is so valuable. Why would you put a storage unit on there? Because the guy's greedy and he wants his money now rather than waiting on sewer or whatever needs to be done to develop that, you know, property into a valuable piece of property that is sitting at the corner of 485 and Ottawa Lawyers Road, so.
Any meetings have already occurred, or how far along in the process this one is?
no, I wasn't prepared to mention all that tonight. Yeah.
But do you have their agenda, their planning board agenda?
it's not posted yet, that I can find.
Oh. Today's the 12th, so it must not be on their 20th meeting because they're, was it 2 weeks or 1 week? Probably just 1 week,
This might go next month, who knows, I'm not sure.
right? Timing's critical then, same thing. I don't hear anybody that supports storage units.
Sorry. Where is that again? Can you zoom out just a little bit?
Yep, right on 485 on Lawyers.
Oh, okay, so.
Courtyards on Lawyers is right here. This is Stevens Mill subdivision, and we just approved the roads here on Courtyards on Emerald Lake.
The other,
Quite close.
the other Courtyards is right there too.
Yeah.
Right
Yeah,
there.
yeah, I guess that's what I was wanting to know is where is that one at? Because that one's like,
That one's new.
This one was approved in 2018.
That's Allen Black Road that connects
okay,
Lawyers to Allen, to 218.
okay. And that's kind of what I was wanting to know is where that place was, okay. in relation.
Yeah, the very outskirts north of the town.
Wow, yeah, that's,
So similar,
I mean, I'll ask the county, I mean, let us annex it. Do anything, and,
yeah, we can request, they already forward these developers to us that are adjacent to our land to annex. I think the answer I gave them about the storage facility probably wasn't favorable, so that's why they just went ahead and submitted
Sure.
to the county.
Mayor, what I would suggest in that line of thought is me sending a couple letters to the county manager for both of these properties, and also as well, with the board's permission and guidance, requesting that they point these developers to us for our land uses and potentially annexation. Would everybody be agreeable with that?
Yep, sounds great to me.
Did you have the last one? Okay, so this one, I don't know anything about, so,
We're still
give me
gonna
a
ask you
head
a lot
on.
of
Give
questions
me,
about it.
this is, a big development. It's a 737.55 and up, single-family lot subdivision, kind of similar to Courtyards.
How many?
737, I think,
55 and older?
55 and up. Yeah, gated community off of Gold, it's gonna be called like Gold Branch. I'm sorry. 737, yes. And this is this is here. I did not,
Rock Hill Church.
yeah, I did not give them an answer about this one yet, because this one is this one was originally, they actually were about to submit annexation for Stallings, but they were unable to connect, and we're already at 30% island. I can't remember the terminology, satellite annexation. We can annex them without them being touching Stallings.
Is that Kevin Presley? Okay.
And then I also talked to Fairview, and they're against this property as well.
They're very against it.
I just saw him.
And I'll show you this.
Well, there's a
Who
good-
was very against it?
Yeah.
Town of Fairview.
Yeah, if you ever, well, I don't know why, these homes are pretty nice. The upper end of Rock Hill Church toward 218 there is really,
Like up here.
I went up the other day and I kind of went off the beaten path, my beaten path, and off on some of, Russell Road, for example, is amazing. I had no idea those nice homes.
Yeah, I'm not sure where all the roads are named up here as well. I don't think I've ever driven this far north in the county. Sorry.
Hey, it's out in the country.
But it's a 55 and up, single-family lot subdivision with 737
My
homes.
only concern, and I don't know enough about this, and I'm sure they will figure it out themselves, is the sewer package plant that they're talking about. I don't know enough about it to have a good or bad feeling. Just, they're thinking of doing their own plant there.
Yep. This was not going to the commissioners until January, according to Union County.
Commissioners in January, do we know when it'll go to?
Well, I'm surprised because I just saw Kevin a couple days ago and asked him how's it going, and, he led me to believe that he was bringing it to Stallings for us to annex, because that was his first choice. So I don't know what changed his mind, so I'll find out whether it changes anything or not.
I think it's just not allowed per state statute because we exceed the satellite annexations. We already exceed 30%, I think. Or with this, it would exceed that, and they're not allowed to annex it per state statute unless they're touching our municipality. And that's all I know about that.
Okay, well, I'll get him to explain it then.
So what do we know about the planning board, or whatever you called it, the land use? About the Union County? I mean, like, do they vet things the way, you would do?
I would assume it's similar, but I've never attended one of their meetings. And I don't know when it's held.
All righty. Well, Grant, appreciate you and David putting this on the agendas then, because this is enlightening for us, all three of them. So Max and Alex, thank y'all. So we got some action items here, and we'll see what happens. All righty. We'll go, next up is closed session. Oh,
Sorry, Mayor, I
Yeah.
think, Max, were you looking for thoughts on this?
We'll wait till we get some more answers on this one, because
Yeah.
this one's gonna be a little more long-term than the other two.
well, I have no problem with it. I mean,
Okay.
They're-
You want to
they're-
give county?
They're $1 million plus homes, according to Kevin.
Yeah.
And so,
Or do you want to give them an answer on that tonight, or do you want to
No,
wait on giving county a recommendation for this one?
I'd just wait.
Okay.
But, I'd like to talk to Kevin first and figure out what you talked about the contingency, contingent, maximum.
Okay.
Just asking what his reason was.
All right.
All righty. Next up, closed session pursuant to North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A3. Can I get a motion? Okay.
And the chief for one part as well.
So everybody hear that? So pursuant to that, and we invite the town engineer, Mr. Parker, and Chief of Police, Mr. Franks. So can I get a motion?
I move that we go into closed session and invite Mr. Parker and Chief of Police Franks.
All righty. Motion by Laurie,
Second.
second by Mr. Hall. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Ayes have it. All righty.
Of course, Kevin left.